This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good morning. Are you able to hear me? Okay, thank you. Yeah, let me recap what we did yesterday in just 5 minutes. So we are following remote desktop approach by entering here MSTSC. We give the remote computer name or IP name. This is provided by Oasis. This computer name or IP name will be provided by Oasis. Once you click connect, we are going to give user ID password. Before we logged with the same user, so it is defaulted. So you just give the password and click OK. If you want to change the user ID, click more choices, use a different account. I'm giving the same. Click OK. Yes. Now we are connecting into the remote desktop. Because in the previous class, I exited from here. So as soon as we log in, we are able to see this. Usually, if I exit properly like this, so this is actually the remote desktop. Now, what I will do, let me close it. Now let me log in. Give the remote computer name, connect. I'm giving the user ID password because user ID defaulted. I'm just giving the password. So here there is a HANA details notepad where you have all the user IDs password. Here you can see ECC related user ID password. Here you can see BW related user ID password. Here you can see HANA details related user ID password. Now we understood in the SAP logon pad, one system user ID is HANA user and password is welcome1234. If you go system status, you can find whether it is which kind of system. It's an MS SQL database, non-HANA database. And also if you go to here, HDB HANA database. One is non-HANA, another one is HANA. So yeah, because this is the HANA Studio, I did. Let me go task manager and end it because I did something. So it is while closing, I didn't close properly. I'm just going to end task. Okay, it closed now. Now this is the HANA Studio. HANA Studio, Eclipse, both are same, no difference at all. In the coming week, we will install Eclipse and HANA Studio. HANA Studio is built on Eclipse plus HANA add-on. Both looks the same. If you go window, perspective, open perspective, other. This is the ABAP perspective. So here already systems are added. I'm just deleting. We understood 2 points here. One is we can add any SAP system with the HANA database, or if it is non-HANA, it should be ECC6 EHP7. We will add systems like file, new, ABAP project. And one way is by clicking new connection, we give all the details and add it like we do in GUI. Another way is we select the existing system. Then the details are defaulted. Here we give the password. And another important thing here is whatever credentials we give to log into the ABAP perspective, whatever credentials we give to log into the GUI, we use same credentials to log into the ABAP perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse. Because both are used to access SAP application, both are used to access ABAP layer and database layer, both credentials are created in SC01. We also understood if we create here, we can see in GUI, if we create in GUI, we can see here similar to SAT transaction code, but here we cannot create ABAP and HANA objects. But here we cannot create ABAP and HANA objects, which makes sense because it's a non-HANA system. So we cannot create external views, database procedure proxies, AMDP, CDS views. Now let me add SAP system with the HANA database. It doesn't matter this is what system it is. And we give same credentials to log into this. This is a SAP system with the HANA database. Here we can create ABAP and HANA objects. For example, what I mean, other ABAP repository, if you go to the dictionary, here there is external view, which is enabled. And also database procedure proxies. And also we can create AMDPs and CDS views. But here the question is, if it is similar to SAT transaction code, GUI, then why we need this? Because even though it is an SAP system with the HANA database, we cannot create ABAP and HANA objects like external view, database procedure proxies, AMDP, CDS views in GUI. They always created in ABAP perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse, and they can be viewed, tested in GUI, but cannot be changed, deleted. Now, window perspective, open perspective, other HANA modeler perspective, we can go like this. Window perspective, open perspective, other HANA admin perspective. HANA modeler and HANA admin both are used to access directly HANA database. HANA modelers and HANA developers use this. HANA admins use this. And here you can find quick view, but if I hide it in HANA modeling perspective and if I do perspective, reset perspective, we will get back the original perspective. Here also you can add multiple systems by adding this like development, quality, production. If the system is already there, you can right click and log on. We don't add every time the systems, right? Like in GUI, if already development, quality, production are there, first time you add it, next day you double click and access. Here also same thing. But let me show you how to add again. Add system. But here, whatever SAP system with the HANA database, we are accessing through GUI, logon pad, presentation server. Here we are accessing SAP application. But if you want to access directly the database of this, we use this HANA modeling perspective by providing the database details. Those details are there in the HANA details notepad. See, host, instance, user, password. So HANA 2, instance 02, username HANA user, password welcome 1234, W is uppercase. And another thing you need to remember, we use different credentials to log into HANA modeling perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse. We don't use same credentials of SAP GUI because these credentials are directly created in this perspective in the security folder in the users. And It is very strange for you to see the folders like this because as an SAP consultant, even though you have a lot of experience, you never came to know what is your database and how database looks like because you always interact from SC11, from ABAP dictionary. But actually speaking, if you go system status, we don't know what is our database. We don't need to know what is our database. And even we don't know how database looks like because we always interact with from SC11. See, our database is MS SQL. All the tables in our database are stored in this schema or logical database. Similarly, even if it is HANA also, it's the same. Whatever standard tables or custom tables we are able to see from SC11, they are all in this database, in this schema or logical database. So catalog folder is like your database, which is group of logical databases or schema. Each logical database or schema contains the database artifacts like tables, views, synonyms, and all. And we will deep dive this for provisioning when we start data provisioning. We will deep dive this when we start HANA modeling. So in order to make you familiarize, because as an SAP consultant, we always interact with the ABAP dictionary. So it's first time to see how database looks like folders, schemas, logical database. But if you are a non-SAP consultant, it's the common for us because we always interact with database. So let me show you, however, Oracle ID is the tool to access Oracle database, SQL Server Management Studio to access MS SQL database, Eclipse or HANA Studio, HANA modeling perspective to access HANA database. Now I'm going to show you MS SQL database. See here we are able to see all the folders, all these things. Like catalog folder, but the folder name is different, but these are all schemas or logical databases. Security folder like provisioning folder. So this is what we discussed. Why I did recap this much time, because from Monday we don't do this much recap because these basics are very important. That's why I have done this much recap. And also today I am not well, so you find some difference in my voice and explanation, but from Monday you find the as usual explanation. So I just want to check with everyone, whatever we discussed so far, is it clear for you? Do you have any questions? Can we go to the new topic for today? I'm looking responses in the chat box. Yeah, everyone, is it clear? Do you have any questions? Okay. I'm going to the HANA modeling perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse. Usually in real time, we never create schema until and unless there is an exceptional need. Now I'm going to create a schema. Under the schema, I create row tables and column tables and insert data. And before that, in ABAP perspective, in HANA Studio or Eclipse, or in SAP GUI logon pad, whatever objects we create, we always start with YRZ. Why? Because SAP used letters from A to X and they reserved YRZ for the customer namespace. SAP used letters from A to X and they reserved YRZ for the customer namespace. So here, whether you create anything in the GUI or whether you create anything in the ABAP perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse, whatever we create, they should be started with YRZ. Now coming to the HANA modeling perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse, it is used to access directly HANA database. So as for database is concerned, there is no concept of standard and custom. So we can start with any letter here. From A to Z, we can use any letter, whatever development you do, whether you do HANA modeling or native HANA or catalog folder, whatever developments we do in HANA modeling perspective, in HANA Studio or Eclipse, we can start with any letter. Here, if you are able to see here SQL, if I put cursor, open SQL console for selected system, and blue letters you are see, if I click this is SQL editor. SQL means structured query language used to design the database. Design the database means you create tables, you change tables, you insert data, everything, whatever you do related to database, that can be done by SQL. Every database has its own SQL. Oracle has Oracle SQL. Microsoft has MS SQL. HANA has HANA SQL. SQL across all databases, 95% it is similar. Only few differences are there between HANA SQL to Oracle SQL to Microsoft SQL. And here this is like ABAP editor, but not exactly like ABAP editor, because in ABAP editor we write the code and we save it like programs. But here we type the code and we just execute or press F8. It's like a runtime editor. I'm hiding the quick view but a better visibility purpose. If you want, you can get back them using reset perspective. Now I'm going to create a schema. HANA SQL is case sensitive. Case insensitive, not case sensitive, like ABAP. You can write either lowercase or uppercase. However, ABAP ends with full stop or a period. HANA SQL ends with semicolon. Now create schema. I'm just giving schema name like this. Here schema name is given in the double quotes. Whether you give in the double quotes or you don't give in the double quotes, not an issue. Whether you give in the lower case or uppercase, not an issue. But in case if you give anything in the double quotes in any language, it is preferable to give with the uppercase. Now here if you every HANA SQL ends with semicolon, if only one statement is there, even we give semicolon or even we don't give semicolon, not an issue. Now I click this, press F8, or I click this green arrow button. But here you see there is an error. Error is saying cannot use duplicate schema name. It means you can also see the error here. Create schema Viasys 400 cannot use duplicate schema name. It means the same schema is already there. I am just giving 4000. Now it's success. You can see here statement create schema successfully executed in 29 milliseconds, 640 microseconds. Now you go to the catalog folder and if you expand, it's very difficult to find out our schema by scrolling like this, because here we have a lot of schemas. What you can do, you select the catalog folder and right click, filter, Oasis 4000. Here we are able to see our schema. If I expand, we have all the folders by default, but we don't find any tables, triggers, views. Now I'm going to create a columnar table and row table. I select the table, right click, new table. I select the table, right click, new table. As you already aware, you can give here with any letter. So I'm giving table 1. By default, it is a column store. If you want, you can choose row store. Here you can give the column names, and these are the SQL data types. These are the HANA data types. For example, if you go SC11 and if you create a domain, there you see ABAP data types, ABAP dictionary data types. For example, char is a data type there. You don't find char here. For example, whatever data types there like char here, you don't find here, varchar and varchar you don't find there. So we need to understand then how the data types mapping is done. How the data types mapping is done. That we will discuss in the coming days when we start ABAP and HANA. As of now, select some data types. So these are SQL data types like HANA data types, database data types, database dictionary data types. Here you give length, any length. If you want key, just do one click. If you don't want, do another click. Now I'm giving name and I'm giving length 60 here and I execute it or press F8. You can see statement create successfully executed and right click refresh. You are able to find table 1. Similarly, select the table, right click new table. I'm creating a row table this time by selecting the row store. Give serial number, data type, length, key, and give name 60 and execute or press F8 and here refresh. You can see here vertical lines for table 1 and horizontal lines for row table and vertical lines for columnar table. But we found same procedure to create either a row store or a column store. Now I have a question for you. Can I create table 1 again inside the same schema? Hello, are you there? Can I repeat the question? Can we create table 1 inside the schema, same schema again? Yeah, because we cannot create the same table inside the schema. Yes. Now in another schema, can we create the same table? Yes, because remember table is always represented with schema name. Table is always represented with the schema name. So you cannot create same table here, but you can create same table in another schema. Now another question is, have we created these tables through UI, user interface, or through SQL code? Anyone? Actually, if it is SQL code, you go to the SQL console and you just write create table name. That is SQL code. But we did not write SQL code like create table name. How we created the tables? We just select right click new with some navigation. So these are created through UI. Now if you want to create the tables from SQL code, you go to the SQL console and you write create table name SQL code, or else you can go to any existing table. You can go to any existing table and here there is export SQL. There is export SQL. If I select this, you can see here there is an export SQL. You can see the SQL code of the table. create column table. This is the schema name, this is the table name, and bracket starts and bracket ends. And if you remember well, we discussed in the first class, unload priority it creates with default 5 and without automate enable. And here you don't see the preload flag, but it is by default enabled. I will explain in the coming days how to change that and all. But we don't have option from UI to choose this unload priority and automate when you create the table. Why? Because by default it creates with 5 and automate enable. But now if I create through SQL code, I'm just changing the table name here, and you can give any column names or data types and lengths here. I'm just creating with unload priority 9 and without automate. Unload priority 9 and without automate. Now if I press F8 or execute, statement create column table successfully executed. And here if you go right click and refresh, you can see the table too. And if you want, if you go export SQL, you can also see here unload priority 9 no automate. Now if I go to the row store table, if I go to this export SQL, are we able to find here unload priority and automate? Are we able to find here unload priority and automate? Then why? Why we are not able to see unload priority automate here? Because we discussed in the first class, SAP came up with lot of software innovation for columnar tables, and they came up with preload flag, automate, all these things they came for column store tables only. They did not touch anything on the row store tables. They did not touch anything on the row store tables. If I want to create another row table, I'm just changing table too. But if you want to change some length, or if you want to change some column instead of serial number, roll number, but here also you should put roll number, or you can add another column. But let me execute and right click refresh. You see table 2, and if you go to export SQL, here we are able to find. We are able to find create row table. Then whatever we gave, we are able to find. So we understood how to create row table, column table from UI as well as SQL. We followed the same procedure to create either a row store or a column store. We did not have any different procedures during creation. Now let me insert the data. If you want to insert data, if you go to the SQL console, you can give insert into table name values here, and you can do, or else you select the table, right click, generate insert statement. Select the table, right click, generate insert statement. This is like UI, but even you do it, it generates some SQL code. Now I just give one and y-axis 1 here, and either you press F8 or execute this, then statement insert into table successfully executed. Then right click, open data preview. Right click and open data preview. You are able to see here. Now select, right click, generate insert statement. If I want to insert multiple records at a time, we will discuss in the coming days during data provisioning. Here what you need to do, you just need to type like this, give 2 a 3, I'm just giving some data here, 4 c 5 D. Now, I just have a question for you. I just have a question for you. If I select and execute, do you think all the records will be executed or only selected record will be executed? Do you think all the, yeah, very good. Only let me see. Someone said all, someone said selected. I executed. Now by table one and data preview, see only selected record is executed. If you select something, only selected record is executed, or else now instead of selecting, I just execute, then all records will be executed. Right click, data preview. See, and let me insert also data in the row store. Right click, generate, insert statement. I give one a same way I'm giving data to be. Now right click and data preview. See, we followed the same procedure to insert data in either row store or a column store, and also we are able to see the data in same way. Now if you want to display the data, another way is you can select star from, either you can drag this and you can execute, or else if you want row store also, you just drag it, then schema name dot table. So we understood whether it is a row store or a column store, data preview point of view and developer point of view, there is no difference. It's the same procedure. Now I have a question for you. Whatever tables we created here, do you think those tables can be seen through SC11 GUI or dictionary folder in a web perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse? Let me repeat my question. Whatever tables we created here, do you think those tables can be seen from SC11 in GUI or from dictionary folder in ABAP perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse? So half of the people said yes and some people said no, but let me ask another question. Whatever tables we created here, where did we create those tables? Whatever tables we created here, where did we create this? We created these tables directly in the database. We created these tables directly in the DB dictionary, HANA DB, HANA DB dictionary. So during these tables creation, they are directly created in the database, but they are not created in the ABAP dictionary or ABAP layer. So if they are not there in the ABAP dictionary or ABAP layer, you cannot view them from SC11 in GUI or in dictionary folder in ABAP perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse. Now my question is, if you create tables from SC11 in GUI or from dictionary folder in ABAP perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse, do you think you can find those tables in database? Yes, because whenever you create any table in SC11 in GUI or in dictionary folder in ABAP perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse, they are created in both ABAP layer and database layer. They are created in both ABAP dictionary and database dictionary. That is the reason it is always recommended to create tables from ABAP layer. It is not recommended to create tables directly in the schema, in the catalog folder, in the tables folder, in HANA modeling perspective, in HANA Studio or Eclipse, until and unless there is a need. Until and unless there is a need, there is an exceptional need. We will understand in the coming days step by step what did we do in the real time coming to this catalog folder. But now here I have a question for you. In case if I choose to create tables from S11 in GUI, do you find, yeah, I think Sanjita asked the question, but even I am going to explain the same now. Whatever you asked, I am going to explain the same now. Now the question for you guys, but from when you create tables from S11 in GUI, do you think you can find the options there like column store or row store? Do you have any guess? Have you ever seen in this option? If yes means, do you know where you can see this? Now I am in the HANA database. If you go to S11, when you create any custom table or when you create any, when you see any standard table or during creation of custom table, there is a technical setting. Usually you don't find two tabs like this, right? Here you find an extra tab, DB specific properties. There see, by default column store is there. If you want, you can choose row store. Now my question for you, do you think we find this tab even in non-HANA databases? Yeah, because in interview people may ask you this question. For example, here I am going to show you, this is system status, here MS SQL database. Now here if I go to any table, see here also you have the tab, because from NetWeaver ABAP 7.4, from new NetWeaver ABAP version, even SAP came up with column store tables, like they came up with DB specific properties. So it is not only available in HANA DB, it is also available in non-HANA DB from new NetWeaver ABAP version. Now, if you want to know HANA Studio version, you just go help and about HANA Studio, you find the version of HANA Studio. But here you have the versions for HANA database. Yeah, but it supports from new NetWeaver ABAP, but there is no use, right? Because now SAP make mandatory HANA database. So everyone should migrate their database to HANA, because after 2020, 2022, SAP, usually SAP is a database independent, but they will make database dependent with HANA only. Is it clear? In 2010, when HANA came to the market, they came up with HANA versions, database versions, SPS 01, support package tag 01. Every 6 months, they used to release the versions like this. And instead of calling, after SPS 12, instead of calling SPS 13, 14 and all, they are coming HANA 2.0, SPS 01, SPS 02. Now it is SPS 4 is the recent version. Now if you go HANA modeling perspective and if you double click this system, you can find version, see, HANA to SPS 03. This is the HANA database version. You can find in HANA modeling perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse by clicking the system. Similarly, you also have S4 HANA versions. Latest version is 1809. and they will come 1908 soon, and before 1708. Mostly they came 2015, and first two indicates year and the next two indicates month. First two indicates year and next two indicates month. Let me show you S4 HANA system. But anyway, we will deep dive in the coming days. What are technical differences or functional differences in HANA, S4 HANA? If you go system status, database is the same, but version is S4 HANA 1709. 1709. So you can find version like that. We will do our all objects in both HANA and S4 HANA. For example, let me go back. I just want to ask you one question. If you want to change this table, how do you change? Anyone? Yeah, one is alter table, you can do anything, but from UI, if you want to change, this is disabled. So how do you change from UI? Just right click edit. Using right click edit, you can add a column or you can remove a column, but you can't change the length of data type. You can't change from column store to row store. So we will discuss all these things. So our roadmap is like this. We will start Monday catalog folder or HANA SQL. Here we will deep dive how to change the table from alter statement or UI, how what is indexes, secondary indexes, what is further properties, what is partitioning, columnar table architecture, what is automage, and then trigger, view, synonym, and also we will discuss installation of HANA Studio Eclipse. Usually it will take 5 classes. Then data provisioning 3 classes, HANA migration 1 class, new OpenSQL 1 class. After this, we start HANA modeling or native HANA 2 weeks. After this, we start ABAP on HANA or ABAP on S4 HANA, even HANA modeling HANA S4 HANA, 2 to 3 weeks. Then here itself we discuss OO ABAP 3 classes. After this, we will discuss OData or NetWeaver Gateway, then Fiori Launchpad. Fiori Launchpad only 1 class, but very important. OData will take 5 classes. The UI5 Fiori development, I will explain 5 classes. And also, once I receive your mail, please get in touch with Oasis for server access, because from Monday we will do the practicals and I will also give you the assignments. And also I will share all these documents to you in the beginning itself as soon as I get your mail IDs. We have around 70 documents. For example, when I explain how to install Eclipse and HANA Studio, everything whatever we discussed till now documented with screenshots and all. For example, when I explain installation of Eclipse and HANA Studio, once I explained, I will also go through these documents. And also, if I explain HANA modeling, I will also go through this document with all screenshots. Everything is there. Similarly, you have also SAP Pressbooks and SAP PDFs. I share all these documents at one shot once I get your mail IDs, and get in touch with Oasis for server access, because from tomorrow, from Monday, I will give you assignments like table creations, all these things. Actually, I am not well today, but I have taken the class without disturbing the continuity. So now it is, I will start the changing the table from UI and alter statements and indexes. From Monday, I will start. So the classes will be very interesting. Yeah, Oasis will provide me your mail IDs, so you don't need to give to me. You just provide to Oasis. I will send all at one shot. So now I want to understand whatever we discussed till now. Is it clear for you? Do you have any questions? Can you please give response in the chat box? If it is clear, like clear. If it is not clear, you can ask me the question. I'm very happy to explain again and again. And I will elaborate with more examples if it is not clear. But today you find some difference in my teaching or explanation because I'm not well. But from Monday, I will explain with full of energy, like first class and second class. So you don't worry about that. So no questions. It's clear for everyone. Are you sure? We will explain our HANA related topics in HANA, S4 HANA. Both systems I will explain. And also we will discuss what is, we have also PPTs with very good PPTs for HANA migration S4 HANA. What changes are there in S4 HANA? What T codes are optimized? Everything we have with screenshots, PPTs. I will explain and also I will send you them. If you have no questions, I'm closing for today. Thank you very much for joining. Happy weekend. We will meet again Monday. I remain in online for 1 or 2 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you. Have a nice day. Happy weekend.